Hey guys, for those of you with small websites and you're trying to get traffic organically for free off of Google and you're wondering why you're not getting the traffic and you only have like 9 pages pitching you, I want to walk you through this real quick. It's sort of a summary topic. It's directed at you guys because it has to do with something you must take a step and do, and that is to actually create a lot more pages that are based on what it is you actually do. And I'm going to show you the easiest way that we can help you with that. Okay, so here's what most people do. They create a website with their pitch pages that's aimed at the part of the market that's going through a growth curve and they're ready to buy now. Everyone goes, well, those are the guys I want. And so they only create the pages to target them. Here's the problem. Everybody wants them. Everybody has those pages on their websites. You have probably hundreds of competitors or perceived competitors, no matter what it is you sell. And only 10 can be on the front page and only 5 can be on the upper half of the front page in the organic area. So the question becomes really quickly, why would Google choose you? They're going to look at your website, and if it only has pitch pages, you're saying you're an expert at stuff that Google doesn't know if you are. Because Google looks at your competitors, and not only do they say they're an expert at stuff, they have pages that justify it. They have outbound links to authority sites. They have incoming links from other sites voting for them. They have content. That's the most important part, that describes what they know. As a matter of fact, you start there. You create all that content about what you do. You teach people how it all works. That might sound funny, but it's not. If you do a search for Seattle dentist or Chicago roofer, I don't care really what it is. There's 3 sections to the page that are the most prominent. Ads. That's for the guys who are all competing right here. They're trying to bid against each other to get every one of those sales. Fine, do that if you need to support the day-to-day and if it's working for you. But if you want to grow and get past that, if you want to at least start to marginalize away from ads into free sales, then you have to do more. So there's the next part, the maps. That's where people are saying, I don't care who does it. You know, I need a plumber. I don't care which plumber. They're all going to plumb the same. I need a plumber who can come here now. And so I'm going to start by calling the guys that I see in the maps who are closest to me. Okay, so that is the map section. So there's ads, maps, and then there's the organics. What demographic is the organics for? People who don't yet know what they want. They want to research first and then make a decision. Now, that brings us here. If you are not problem aware, maybe your roof is leaking and you don't see signs of it yet, so you don't know. You're in this category. You're going to go through this path flow, but you're starting here. And then you finally become aware of the problem. That's where about 20% of the guys are on any given day. Okay? And as you become aware of the problem, you start to consider generic options just openly, right? Whoa, I see a leak here in the ceiling. Why? And you kind of go through gathering some information, and that puts you here. Information gathering is like, okay, now I get what kind of my options are, but I'm still making a decision. Like, what kind of roofing tile do I want? And should I repair the roof or replace it? Which is cheaper in the long run? Or can I rejuvenate the roof? Am I able? What kind of roofing tiles do that? And do they have tiles that last longer these days? Do they have tiles that reflect the sunlight better? I don't want to just buy from somebody if they don't offer the best option for the tiles, right? So a lot of people do information gathering on their way to saying, okay, now I'm armed with the knowledge and I want to pick somebody. Now they're here, right? Some people do jump from problem aware to here, right? Holy crap, I got a plumbing problem, a broken pipe. And they go right here, I need to buy now. That's usually driven by emergency. It's driven by lack of perception of differences in the quality of the service or the value provided by different guys. But when you can take the time to actually do a little research before you buy, a lot of people do that. So what's the point? There's different demographics. Some of the people searching for Seattle dentist are looking in the ads. Some are looking in the maps. Some are going through the organics. Why would you go through the organics, say? You want to read about the guys who are writing about themselves so you can get comfortable with somebody. Or you want to read more about the different dental options being offered and so on. You want to compare pricing and stuff. Just want to be swayed by the ads. So anyway, here's the thing. When you want to show up in the organics, You must be training this group of people here. And so you're priming them with information pages on your site, and those pages can still have ads that pitch you. They can have a closing that pitches you. Hey, if you're ready for servicing, here's who we recommend. That could even be arm's length, as though another website's teaching, but it's advertising you. Nothing wrong with that. But it can be a bunch of pages on your site where people are learning about the topics, and the top menu pages are your main pitch pages. Sidebar could have some links that people be interested in clicking on that lead to your services. You could have ads in the middle of your own pages. You can have the closing. You can have a call to action bar. All these things you can do with your information pages. Everyone who ranks on Google for free and gets traffic is doing it that way. Most of their visitors are coming through here and then learning what they need to know to decide to buy. And guess who they're going to buy from? The very guys that they were learning from, because why not? Those guys obviously know what they're talking about. So why not avail yourself of who they recommend, or of the ads, or of the sidebar links, or the closing, call to action, something like that. Now, from a Google point of view, here's how significant that is, okay? I know there's a lot to look at. We're going to look at just 2 lines. We're going to look at this yellow line that's been running along and then starts to climb like that. That's the number of pages that people started writing onto their website. Usually they didn't have many, and they also didn't have much traffic. That's the orange line, the other line that we're going to look at. Okay, so these guys did everything they could to make their websites awesome. They got schema going, they got internal links, they got external links, They did all the stuff they were supposed to do. Table of contents, videos, images, sidebar links to other sections of the site, linked all their pages together. They did everything they were supposed to do, except they couldn't get anywhere. And they didn't know why until they finally caught on to this concept that they need to create pages for this group. As soon as they did that, they started creating pages to show their expertise, and at one point they hit critical mass. Somewhere in here, Google said, that is enough. I've seen enough. Now you're doing it all right. And that already justified this massive leap up, this Google Dance leap. Now, this bar looks like an overnight leap. It's more like a 3-day leap. And then this is like 2 weeks of jogging around up and down. And during that time, they're like, wow. And then they said, let's create even more pages, especially when they took a dive. Now, that dive might look painful, except it's not. Down here, they were getting 0 traffic, really. By the time they got down here, they were still at 17,000 visitors a month. 17,000. Most of the guys are not ready to buy yet. They're in here. But by the way, how long do you think it takes for someone to get from this to this? It depends on the industry. It depends on location. It depends on circumstance. But it can be hours. From the time, some of the guys will move through this path rapidly. Some of the guys will take longer and mull it over. It's either personality types or saving up their budget or whatever it takes, right? Anyway, this is called the Google Dance. It's when Google tests them on a whole lot of things at once, sees where people click and keep reading versus people click and just leave, right? And then Google makes corrections, okay? So by the time they landed here, this is steady. This is people landing on their site continuing to read. 17,000 a month. That's because they did everything right with their pages. And anyway, they kept adding more pages that were done fully correctly. The difference between good pages and bad. Say you do your page without knowing much of the difference. Then each page might be able to show up for 4 keywords, 5 maybe, 7 maybe, single digits. But if you do your pages completely right, each page can show up for like 150 keyword combinations. And so if you do your pages right, you get like 15 times, 30 times as much traffic per page as you would just not following the rules, not doing everything Google wants to see. So Now it's steady and climbing for a good reason. Google figured out basically on the seesaw of where they start with all their training to where they end with all their training, what is that scope, right? Once Google got through the dance and dropped to here, they knew that scope really well. So now as they're adding more pages, Google's building that into its perception of their scope. Google's like, I get it, I see where you're going, I see where you're going, I see where you're going. So they kept climbing to a high of 100,000 visitors a month. Now, somewhere up in here, they leveled off. And you might think, why level off until common sense dawns on you? What if this was an auto repair shop in Tulsa, Arizona? Well, anywhere, Scottsdale, Arizona. You probably got more people showing up at your door than you could possibly handle, right? Most things, by the time you get 100,000 visitors a month where Google has assessed that it's the right kind of traffic, they're sticking around on your pages, they're reading other topics you got, you can't handle the business. For a lot of people, it's true. So then down, all that meant was this. They had so much business that they either they sold the website off or they just quit building it because they already had too many orders flooding in. They're working at how to expand their operations to handle all the orders, right? And they just let this go. Now, that might seem weird until you stop and pay attention to the dates. This is March 1st, basically, and this is the end of that year. This is a 10-month cycle, okay? 10 months with like an average 50,000 visitors a month. They had like 500,000 visitors in that 10 months. If 5% buy out of 500,000 or want to buy, that's 250,000 sales in 10 months is 25,000 sales a month, which is like 800 sales per day or 800 sales inquiries a day. Do you get it? I mean, how do you handle that no matter what you sell? It's got to be electronic goods. And if they're not electronic goods, then they probably have a distribution problem. They probably can't even fulfill the orders, right? It's more traffic than they can handle. But it was all free. They didn't have to pay. They got rich during this period no matter what. This made them a ton of money. Say they made $100, per sale they could handle, and they just rocketed them out, all day long. If you had 800 sales a day and you made $100 per sale, that's $80,000 a day coming in, right? So like 2.4 million a month, 24 million. This could be like 24 million in profit right here on average, okay? And by here, they got exhausted. So they probably just quit because they were rich now. In less than a year, in like 10 months, okay? It's worth all the effort in the world. That brings us to this. Okay, I have a website that only has a few pages trying to pitch. I want to expand my website, but my God, how in the world do I do that right? How do I know what pages to create? And not only how do I know what pages to create, how long is it going to take me? How am I going to make sure my pages are competitive, right? How many do I need? Well, I'll tell you what, at their height, they had about 300 pages, maybe 350. And the reason is because they optimize their pages completely, which is something we've been going over in our last stack of videos. So if you look at the videos I've been putting out close to now, if you subscribe to my channel, at least you can keep track because I went through individual instances and showed people the incredible value of each individual component and the fact that we can do it very efficiently. We have the ability to create web pages for your website that look like they belong to your website, that are become part of your website. You'll receive a zip file with static HTML pages in a folder that you just unzip to include to your website. And you just attach, you create a link there, like a training link in the top menu that goes to the first page of that. And the rest of it is automatically done. It's got its own sitemap file that you can submit to Google separate from your own. Okay, that's internal to the pages we generate, but it creates that foundational layer of training topics like this. And you didn't have to write them, we wrote them. Okay, so we can do that for anyone's website anywhere, as long as you can put static HTML pages on your website somewhere in a folder and they'll show up, which is 99.9% of the time. Okay, You can always check with your webmaster, but it's something you can assume. Whether you have a WordPress site, Wix, Joomla, Weebly, anything else, Foursquare, it is, as long as you are paying for a good enough package where you have access to the underlying cPanel, not just the admin panel, but the cPanel, and you can upload a zip file and extract it, or you can pay a webmaster to do it, then you have the ability to host those pages up. Okay, all you need is access to the cPanel. We can do it with access to your cPanel if you have it. Okay, and then once those pages go live on your site, and we do those pages right, they are probably done better as informational pages for you than your pages are done for ranking on Google. Okay, so you can contact me, because the question is, how many pages should we create for you? That's a direct comparison to your top competitors. And what do you do and don't you do? So it's a basic, simple project that we put together. It's not very expensive, but the fact of the matter is, by getting that done, you can take this leap that you've always been looking for. I can't guarantee, what your numbers are going to be, but what I can say is, in your industry, you're going to take a huge step up if you were always just having a few pages on your site, and now we create that underlying authority level, especially assuming, that you don't change anything else. It's an apples to apples comparison. If you get all that done and you're still not getting traffic, you're still just a step away or two, but you just got to figure out what you're still not doing correctly, which we'll help you with. Maybe you just need to go put some listings out in directories, and then wow, the whole thing will take off. Okay, there are things that we can do to help you with, and then other things we can coach you on. Very simple. Name of our game is to try to help the underdog get off page 4. So there you have it. All right, next video instance, I'll walk through a real quick case of that, sort of an extension of this, and I'll step right into the way we can organize that kind of information for your site. Okay,